What if I told you that every puff of a cigarette is like inviting an invisible intruder into your body? An invader that doesn't just visit but takes control, rewiring your brain and altering your biology. Today, we're diving deep into the dark world of nicotine, the master manipulator hiding in plain sight. From its cunning ways of hijacking your brain chemistry to its long-lasting effects on your body, this is a story you can't afford to miss. But beware, what you're about to discover might change how you look at smoking forever. Hit subscribe now to uncover the shocking truth behind nicotine's deceptive charm. The journey of nicotine begins far before it reaches human lips, originating in the nightshade family of plants as a natural pesticide. This seemingly innocent compound evolved to protect plants from predators, yet humans somehow found their way to it, transforming it into one of the most addictive substances known to mankind. When nicotine enters the bloodstream through inhalation, it races toward the brain with alarming speed, crossing the blood-brain barrier within mere seconds. The human brain, sophisticated and complex, falls victim to nicotine's deceptive simplicity. Once inside, nicotine impersonates acetylcholine, binding to nicotinic acetylcholine receptors throughout the brain. This molecular mimicry triggers a cascade of chemical reactions that would make any biochemist marvel at its efficiency. Dopamine levels surge dramatically, creating that infamous feeling of pleasure and satisfaction, while simultaneously establishing the foundation for addiction. The brain, initially resistant, slowly adapts by increasing the number of receptors, effectively making itself more susceptible to nicotine's influence. This adaptation process is insidious, occurring gradually enough that the smoker often doesn't recognize the growing dependence until it's firmly established. What starts as occasional experimentation transforms into a biological need, with withdrawal symptoms manifesting quickly when nicotine levels drop. The brain's reward system becomes hijacked, prioritizing nicotine over natural rewards like food or social interaction. This neurological takeover happens silently, without conscious awareness, making nicotine's grip particularly difficult to break. Moreover, the body compensates by altering other neurotransmitter systems, creating a complex web of chemical dependencies that extend far beyond simple dopamine release. As nicotine establishes its dominion over the brain, its influence extends throughout the entire body, weaving a complex tapestry of physiological changes that most smokers never fully comprehend. The cardiovascular system bears the brunt of nicotine's assault, with each dose causing blood vessels to constrict and heart rate to accelerate. This constant strain transforms the heart into an overworked machine, pumping against increased resistance while struggling to maintain adequate circulation. Blood pressure elevates, not just temporarily but chronically, as the body adjusts to nicotine's persistent presence. These vascular changes create the perfect storm for cardiovascular diseases, with arteries becoming increasingly rigid and less responsive to normal regulatory mechanisms. Meanwhile, the respiratory system faces its own battle, as nicotine paralyzes the tiny hair-like cilia in the lungs that normally help clear debris and toxins. Without these natural defenders, the lungs become vulnerable to infections and inflammation, setting the stage for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and various respiratory infections. The digestive system isn't spared either. Nicotine increases stomach acid production while simultaneously reducing blood flow to the stomach lining, creating an environment ripe for ulcers and other gastrointestinal issues. Perhaps most concerning is nicotine's impact on developing fetuses when pregnant women smoke, as it crosses the placental barrier and interferes with crucial developmental processes. The immune system finds itself compromised, with nicotine suppressing various immune responses while paradoxically increasing inflammation throughout the body. Even bone health deteriorates under nicotine's influence, as it interferes with calcium absorption and bone formation processes. These widespread effects demonstrate how nicotine's reach extends far beyond the initial pleasurable sensations, fundamentally altering multiple organ systems and creating a complex web of health consequences that persist long after the immediate effects wear off. The true insidious nature of nicotine reveals itself not in its immediate effects but in its long-term consequences, which unfold gradually like a slow-motion catastrophe. As years pass, the cumulative damage becomes impossible to ignore. The brain's altered chemistry makes quitting exponentially more difficult, with withdrawal symptoms ranging from intense cravings to severe emotional disturbances. These neural changes often lead to cognitive decline, memory problems, and increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases later in life. Meanwhile, the cardiovascular system shows irreversible damage, with arteries permanently scarred and heart muscle weakened from years of overexertion. Lung tissue loses its elasticity, breathing becomes labored, and the risk of lung cancer skyrockets. The financial burden compounds these health issues, with smokers spending thousands annually on their addiction while facing increased medical costs for treatment of smoking-related conditions. Social consequences emerge as well, with relationships strained by the constant need to smoke and the physical toll visible in premature aging and reduced quality of life. Psychological dependency intertwines with physical addiction, creating a nearly impenetrable barrier to quitting. Attempts to stop often fail because the brain's reward system has been so fundamentally rewired that even years after quitting, certain triggers can reactivate cravings instantly. This biological programming affects everything from stress management to decision-making abilities, demonstrating how nicotine's influence persists long after the last cigarette. Yet hope remains, as understanding these mechanisms provides the knowledge needed to fight back against nicotine's grip, though the journey to recovery requires acknowledging the full scope of its devastating impact on both body and mind. Remember, knowledge is power when fighting addiction. If this eye-opening exploration of nicotine's dark secrets has impacted you, join our community of truth seekers by subscribing to our channel. Together, we can continue uncovering the hidden dangers lurking in our daily lives.